Welcome back to the King's Report for Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. I'm Tim Elder, sitting in for the second king of Chanryuk, Hyung speaking to all the kings and queens of the Kingdom of God this morning. And we're joined now in our 7 o'clock hour by a 17-year-old Christian TV radio host, hunting activist, creationist, and outdoor writer, Blake Alma. And I'll read the bio that he has sent us. It's very interesting. I consider myself a connoisseur of good writing, and this is pretty good. It's kind of writing that I sort of enjoy. It was September 24th of 2000, and it was a beautiful autumn day. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. My mother and father were both outside hunting on that opening day of the deer season. My mother, who was over 9 months pregnant, felt a kick within her womb. Bam! Her water broke. My parents were out in the heart of the woods with no cell phone signal, and the car was many miles away. Henceforth, my dad used his wilderness survival skills and found a way to have his wife give birth to a child right then and there in the awe of the creation. My dad simply used his survival knife and cut the umbilical cord. Out came a baby. For all mothers give birth to a child, but not this mom. She gave birth to an outdoor legend. His name was Blake. Boy, do I wish that was how my birth actually happened. It didn't, though. But yeah, I have no idea how it happened. However, probably in a hospital bed, and out came me. For the first thing I saw was my father with a deer's blood all over his camel outfit. Nope, that didn't happen either. Honestly, I was born just like everybody else. Don't you love this guy already? Time quickly flew by, and when 2013 had rolled around, I began to find a small interest within the pursuit of the outdoors. At teen camp that year, an outdoor role model in my life named Brian May had taken me fishing. Because of that one fishing moment, it led me to many opportunities and a burning passion for the skills in the outdoors. I began pursuing every outdoor activity from that point on. From fishing to trapping, I began to learn. I built so much outdoor knowledge in my head that my school knowledge didn't even compare. My passion in the outdoors only began to grow and grow. In May of 2014, I began writing a book called The Outdoorsman Bible. Little did I know that the book I was writing would change everything. I began to pursue the art of writing and the outdoors. I loved it. Later that year, I had my book published, and from that point on, I knew I wanted to be an outdoorsman and build a career from it. I even made a blog about the outdoors called The Art of an Outdoorsman, which is still growing day by day. And he gives a link here to that, and the link is artofanoutdoorsman.com, all one word. I wrote more books throughout the following year, and I found an outdoor writing contest at Outdoor News. I quickly told my mom about it, and she told me to go for it. I wrote a story about how a fox that I had trapped was camouflaged with the red leaves and how it almost took a chunk out of my leg. It was a breathtaking story. I sent it into Ohio Outdoor News, and months later, I received a letter in the mail saying that I had won. I was so excited. In March 2016, I received an email from an editor of Survival Life asking me, a 15-year-old boy, to write for their huge website and e-magazine. I didn't believe it at first, but it was right. It was legit. My first article for them was called Trap for Your Life, which turned into a 10-part series. Writing for Survival Life gave me many more writing opportunities. I later ended up finding myself writing for over 15 different companies. God surely did bless me. While writing for Survival Life, an international radio station called WRVO Radio Network, one contacted me asking me if I wanted my own radio show. I really thought it was a scam at first. Once I found out it was real, I freaked out. I accepted their offer and established the Outdoorman's Art Media, which was my blog, my articles, and my radio show. I named the show after my media group, the Outdoorsman's Art Radio Show. It was a dream come true. Today, I continue to pursue the wonder of the outdoors, having many opportunities to talk to several outdoor celebrities, writing for magazines, being interviewed often, and just growing my own outdoor work. As of recently, I have been asked to be the editor-in-chief at Survivalist Daily, and of course, I accepted the opportunity. Soon, I will also be producing and hosting a daily survival, a podcast for survivalist.com. Someone once told me I was lucky, but luck is only when hard work meets opportunity. Let's read that again. Luck is only when hard work meets opportunity. Simply, anyone could have done what I have done. They would just have to spend the time to do it and get their priorities straight. As a 16-year-old, I have tons of time to waste, but I decided that I would not waste my teenage years playing video games or scrolling through my social media all day. Everybody hear that? I would not waste my teenage years playing video games and scrolling through my social media all day. I knew that if I started young, it would benefit me for the future. I only wish that every child had the same passion and zeal toward the outdoors as I do. But modern technology has stood in the way of the Master's creation, with a capital M there, Master's creation. Hence, it is my goal to bring back the creation of God into the hearts of children and teenagers, to revive that dying art of an outdoorsman. This is my outdoorsman's calling. Wow, what a bio. Thank you very much, Blake. And thank you for joining us. We're very honored to have you. You've obviously accomplished a great deal, even at your age. And I really look forward, I look forward to meeting the 27-year-old Blake 10 years from now, because I'm very excited to how much you're going to accomplish in the next 10, 20, and even 30 years. You've mentioned a little bit about your radio show. Do you also have a TV show here? But anyway, could you tell us about you describe yourself as a Christian TV radio host. Could you tell us about your activities on TV and radio?
Yeah, absolutely. That bio is, I believe, about a year old now. I actually wrote that for that Ohio Outdoor News youth running contest. I wrote that for last year. And so, yeah, it's my passion to teach all things outdoors. So I have a TV show. It's called the Outdoor Experience TV. It airs on the Hun channel, which is on Dish. It's on the Roku. It's on Amazon Fire TV Stick. And it's on Apple TV and some other streaming networks as well. The TV show is an outdoor-based talk show where I talk to celebrity guests. I just had Jace Robertson from Duck Dynasty on the show just a few weeks ago. That airs November 27th, which is Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I've had Kendall Jones. I've had Michael Waddell, the Bone Collector. I've had Jeff Danker with Buck Ventures TV. I've had Reed Robertson, Jace Robertson's son. I've had Al Robertson, which is his older brother. So we've had some awesome guests on the show, so we talk all things outdoors with them so that our listeners and viewers can get that awesome outdoor experience. Hence our name. And of course, to do the radio show, been doing that for about a year and a half now. And used to air in WRBO Radio Network 1. It no longer does, as that network is closing here in December. But we're on 20 other platforms as well. We're on podcasts like iTunes and Google Play as well. So it's been an awesome joyride. I really enjoy doing the TV and radio show.
Well, that's amazing. I'm curious, you describe yourself as a Christian TV radio host. Is there a religious or spiritual aspect to your programs there, to the content?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've grown up in a Christian home, but one of the benefits about being a sports person, about being a hunter or fisherman, is that you get to go outside and experience all of God's creation. You know, it says in Romans 1:20, for the creation of the world was given so that we may be without excuse. The outdoors proves all the glory and power and the existence of God. You know, just going out there is amazing. Just seeing all the creations is mind-boggling. I mean, for me to go outdoors and say there is no God is an impossibility. Like if I were to tell you that my house I'm in right now just pooped here by chance, you'd think I'm crazy. No, I have a building, there's a builder. So when I see the creation, I know there's a creator. And so I find it hysterical that there are people out there who don't believe in God and who call themselves atheists. I'm like, coming from what perspective, you know? Just looking at the outdoors alone proves God's existence. And not only that, you have the Bible, you know? And the Bible and the outdoors go hand in hand. And so it's just a passion of mine to use the creation and talk about God's glory and power. And not only does the outdoors show God just everything, just his power and majesty, it also shows his love. Even though we've transgressed against him from that time when Adam took the fruit, even though we've all sinned, he could have taken away all the attributes of the outdoors. But no, he let us keep all the wonders in the outdoors and let us go out there and be able to harvest from the field. And that just shows his mercy and love and grace toward us. And so the outdoors, man, is a big part of my life. And I've realized that the outdoors is a blessing from God, and it shouldn't be taken for granted. And so, if it wasn't, obviously, if it wasn't for God, none of us would be here. But we'd also, I mean, we wouldn't have the outdoors, of course. And so, I think the outdoors represents God's glory. I think it's very important for all sports people to understand that.
So when you are teaching about the outdoors, you're also teaching about God. I
Yes.
guess the nature teaches us about God, doesn't it? That's,
Does.
Now, you want to revive the dying art of outdoorsmen among children and teenagers. Are you involved are you doing camps of that sort with the teenagers, or is it just the...
No, not currently. And believe it or not, in my city of Cincinnati, Ohio, I told this on a local news network that I had the pleasure of being on. Actually, here in this city, I cannot tell you, I don't know one child that's my age or even younger than me that cares about the outdoors in a way like hunting and fishing. I can't name one child, unfortunately, in this city. The cool thing that I've discovered is that I use technology to reach people about the outdoors. You know, what is a child's obsession? It's their iPod. It's the TV, you know. And I've been absolutely blessed to be able to use those devices, whether that's me hosting a TV show, doing a radio show, doing a podcast, writing articles, writing e-magazine newspapers, e-magazine papers, you know. I've been really blessed to be able to use technology to reach out to kids, teach them about the outdoors. So I'm convinced that the best way to get kids back in the outdoors is to use that which they love, which is technology. I think we have to use that. That's taken away from the outdoors. You know, technology has taken so many kids from the outdoors. It's absolutely absurd. But you have to use that product. You have to use that technology and get them back in the outdoors. And so I believe that ultimately the best way to get kids in the outdoors is to use technology. And so, so you can take them out one-on-one and take them fishing. That's how I got in the outdoors. Some guy named Brian May took me fishing. It changed my life. One-on-one fishing opportunity. But if you want to reach a large audience of children, technology is your best way to go.
Well, have you received testimonies, feedback from people who say that your efforts have affected, you know, in terms of young children and teenagers, that have affected their lives and they've become interested in the outdoors as a result of your activities?
I have received emails of them, and most of the time, most kids who watch my show that I know off the top of my head have, like, their parents were sports people or their grandparents were, so they've always had this God-given courtesy of wanting to go outside, and so I've been able to, you know, ignite that fire and make them want to go outside more. And so I just told somebody else this too. There was this guy who's 19 years old, and he makes turkey calls, which I think is really cool at the age of 19 to have his own turkey call business is awesome. But he texted me on Facebook and said, "Hey, man, I really appreciate what you do. You inspire me to keep working in the outdoor industry. It's a tough industry. You have anti-hunters, and then you have people who are just against hunting altogether. And you have encouraged me to keep going." So that's what it's about, man. I love seeing texts and emails like that. So, yeah, it's just been an absolute blessing in my life to pass on the outdoors to my generation.
So you refer to this one fishing experience that you say changed your life. What was it about that experience? What did you feel there that made such a huge impact on your life?
So it was that I went to a teen camp that week, and I was the youngest guy at that teen camp. I believe it was 12 and a half. I wasn't the smallest guy, youngest guy. You know what happens to the smallest guy at camp? You know, he gets picked on, and you know, it didn't really bug me, but I mean, you know, it just got annoying. I didn't really want to be there. There was a point like, I don't want to be here. I would rather be at home doing whatever. And one of the teen counselors, Brian May, noticed that, you know, during boys swimming time, I would go and I would get dunked or whatever, and I just didn't want to do it again. So he noticed, like, I wasn't going to the boys swimming time. And he's like, "Hey, Blake, you want to go head down this creek right here and fish?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've gone fishing twice. I'd like to do it again." And so I think what first sparked it was the fact that he was kind enough to ask me to do something when I was having a hard time. I think he noticed that, and that's what first got me excited, was that somebody noticed that I was having a really hard time and offered to offered to help me, offered to do something about it. And so that was part one. Then going out there, of course, it wasn't one of those fishing trips that we didn't get anything. Okay, we actually caught some fish. We caught some bluegill. I think it was the first fish I caught there. We caught some bass. We caught some rock bass. So it's really awesome opportunity to catch some fish. And we didn't even use live bait. I mean, you grow up with fiction that you have to use like worms or something to catch fish. No, it's artificial bait, and we used all artificial bait. So that was really cool to me, using something that was not live, that did not smell like a juicy worm. It was a piece of plastic. And so I think that was really appealing to me, that you could fish more than using just a real, actual gross worm, Because putting a worm on a hook is pretty intimidating stuff, especially to a person who doesn't fish a lot, But there's ways around that. You can use an artificial worm, and you just kind of jig it around, I think that was really cool to me, and I think that's another experience. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's not a SAR people thing. You can just put a rubber worm on, rubber jig on, a plastic lure on, you're good to go, So I think that was another appealing thing. But overall, the most appealing thing to me while that entire experience was probably the fact that he cared enough to show me something that I was having a rough time. He really rough time, and he took the time out of his day to go fishing with me when times for me got tough. I think that was the most appealing thing, and the outdoors changed my life. And so I try to tell people that, hey, from living experience, the outdoors can change somebody's life, And so, I didn't see that guy for about 3 years. And then by the time I saw him again, I had a couple books published, and I was doing my own blog. I hadn't got my radio show or TV show. So I went up to him like, man, I got some stories to tell you. And so little did he know that one experience changed my life. And so I can't express the amount of gratitude I have for him. And so take a kid outdoors. If you're not good with technology, that's fine. You take a kid one-on-one outdoors, you can change their life. And, it changed mine. So I'm writing a new book right now. I won't tell you what it's called, but I have part of it is about my life as an outdoors person. And I was writing about that moment. This was just a few days ago. I was writing about how I got in the outdoors. I was actually shedding tears when it happened. So it's a very emotional, exciting moment for me when I go back and think about that. So, it's a powerful moment in my life.
That's really a good example of how we can invest ourselves, invest our heart in a young person, a teenager, or in this case, 12 and a half years old, and that investment can yield a huge dividends, depending on what that child does with that investment. All right, Blake, let's take a short break right now, and we'll come back with our viewers in just a minute.
Hi there, folks, and look at what I've got here today. My God, take a look at this. This is a BFR in 454 Casul with an octagonal barrel, magna porting, micarta grips. And look at that, it even has my initials on it, JM. Look at that thing of beauty, my God. Pop open the cartridge insertion door, and look at that cylinder spin. The finest revolvers in the world. Woo! That's the cannon. That's the cannon. Oh, man. like it though. Pretty much on target. Oh boy. Massive repo.
And we're back with the King's Report for Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. I'm Tim Elder, sitting in for the second king of Cheongguk, Hyung Jin-moon. And I'm here with our guest today, Blake Alma, who is a 17-year-old Christian TV, radio host, hunting activist, creationist, and outdoor writer. And we talked to him with him on a previous segment a little bit about his activities. And I was talking to him during the break, and apparently he's also a bushcrafter. And that's something that we have in common with him here. And so I wanted to ask him about some of the techniques and equipment that he uses for bushcrafting. So Blake, can you tell us about your bushcrafting experiences?
We're in bushcraft, wilderness survival type of stuff. And, as a guy who didn't have parents who weren't outdoorsy, they weren't outdoorsy. They didn't buy me a gun. They didn't buy me a bow. The first steps as I could take as a sports person was fishing and survival. I'd go in my backyard and start doing a bunch of bushcraft stuff. We also have about 10 acres of woods behind our home, so I could do all kinds of stuff back there. And so we don't have a pond to go fishing back there, but there's woods there. And so I decided, do basic survival fun stuff back there. So perhaps I probably know more about survivalism more than most other outdoor activities because I grew up with it right after a fishing experience. That was the first thing I started doing outside of fishing, was basic survival skills, bushcraft skills and stuff. So perhaps my biggest passion is in starting fires. There's something about me starting a fire that I thoroughly enjoy in every way, shape, and form. But I'm also really into primitive trapping, like using deadfall traps and snares to start fires. I know in the break we talked about trying to sleep and stay warm. And so, that's some of the stuff I really enjoy doing. And, it's just a big passion of mine is just teaching people basic survival skills. I think getting kids in the outdoors, one of the best things the two best, easiest things that you can do is show them how to start a fire and how to set, just a deadfall trap in their backyard. Show them how to do that, make sure it's legal in your state. But, or taking fishing, those are two very easy things to get a child in the outdoors. And so I think it's a great place to begin as well. And so, the bushcraft is a big passion of mine.
Well, specifically, what kind of tools do you use for starting fires? What is your favorite tools for starting fires?
Flint and steel or ferro rod are my favorite. Ferro rod actually burns hotter when you strike it than flint and steel. So ferro rods are arguably my favorite. The rumor is that a ferro rod, which is made out like a flint, it obviously has flint, it has magnesium, I think it has some other stuff in it too, but it's really complex mineral that produce a spark of 3,000 degrees. You know, that's pretty warm stuff. Meanwhile, they say flint and steel is about 12 other degrees, and so it's a lot hotter, a lot more. It's a lot more effective, in my opinion. So I use a ferro rod a lot, and when I don't have a ferro rod, I use flint and steel, mostly because they can get wet and they still work. They're also, you know, they have that more survival feel, so I kind of like that. But you carry them in your pocket, you can carry them in a bug out bag, you can carry them while you're going hunting, you know. And so I think flint and steel is a great product to have rather than a lighter or a match, because a lighter will run out juice relatively quickly. But of course, a match just burns on a stick, and that stick is going to burn out real fast, or the wind's going to blow it out, or it's going to get wet. You know, it's not waterproof. And let's say you don't have flint and steel, but you have a lighter available to you. You want a lighter before you use a match. So match, I mean, it's junk, you know, essentially. I mean, a match is better than nothing, but you have a lighter or flint and steel or a ferro rod, use that before you use a match. Because a match is the most vulnerable fire starter. You get it wet, it's toast. A little gust of wind comes through, it's toast, you know. And so I think a flint and steel is the best, or a ferro rod, because again, they're waterproof. The wind isn't going to come out. You can start a fire in any condition with a ferro rod. So with no doubt, ferro rod's my favorite and what I use most. But if you have to use a lighter where you don't have any flint and steel available to you, your best bet is actually to buy a lighter that is orange, like a big orange lighter, because it's orange. If you drop it on the ground, you're going to find it because it's orange. It sticks out. And so you don't want to buy like, a lot of people buy these camo-colored lighters. Well, I think that's kind of dumb. If you drop it, you know, it's gone. You're not going to find it. And so get an orange big lighter because it just stands out. Just an orange big lighter is really bright and it sticks out when you drop it on the ground. So that's a great product to also have with you.
And I imagine that, I don't know the gun laws in Ohio, but I imagine that you're too young to have a carry license. And I'm wondering what kind of weapons you carry with you, or do you go alone, or do you go with someone else who's old enough to carry, or how do you work that?
Yeah, I go alone generally, but one of the two things I'll have a compound bow. It's about, I don't know, 50 pounds at drawback right now. It can go up to 70, which is great for obviously hunting big game. But if you're in a survival scenario, hunting big game is you're going to struggle doing that because first off, you're going to smell. You know, if you're out in the woods, you're going to end up smelling, and the deer are going to smell you just like that. You know, there's chances of you actually harvesting a deer is very slim, if not nothing. And so I'm a big fan of trapping. I'm also a big fan of air guns. I think air guns are great. Now, if you were in I know in Pennsylvania, I don't know where you guys are located there.
We're in the Northeast.
Obviously, an air gun is not going to deter or even hurt a bear. Okay, right. And so, but air gun here is very useful here in Cincinnati. Like I can shoot down a squirrel, I can shoot down a rabbit, I can shoot down even a raccoon or a possum. And so, you're in a survival situation. You have an air gun. You're very fortunate. And air guns, you know, they have little packs of pellets about this big, and they can hold 200-300 bullets in a little pack this big. So it doesn't take any room in your bug out bag, you know. It takes 0 room in your bug out bag or backpack, you know. And so it's a lot more packable and combustible than the actual firearm, in my opinion. And so I do like air guns, but I do like trapping better than air guns because if you're in a survival scenario, your energy is critical. You know, you don't want to waste your energy. So you setting up a trap, a default trap, or setting up a snare with your materials or natural materials is great because a trap works 24/7, unlike your firearms and fishing poles. Okay, you can be sleeping and your trap is at work. You know, and so you can go set 5 traps and then go focus on building a shelter. You know, or go focus on building a fire while those traps are at work. And so I'm a big fan of having a trap in a wilderness survival situation. And so I know if you live in a more populated area, in a more urban area, self-defense is a big importance just in survival, you know. And so, again, I can't carry a gun, but I do carry a knife, which is better than nothing, I would say. Obviously, if I'm in a gun and knife fight, I'm going to lose. But, you know, I carry a knife. I hope that's better than nothing. But I can't carry a gun. You're right. And so,
you know, we're in Northeast Pennsylvania here, where we have a like you said, we have a bear and a deer, and hunting is actually quite a big part of the economy here. We also have raccoons and rabbits and squirrels and skunks and a lot of other critters around here as well. Yeah, I hope that sometime, if you're ever in this area, that you'll visit us, as it's a. I don't know if you've ever been to Northeast Pennsylvania, but it's a wonderful place for. I would imagine a person like you would enjoy it very much.
Yeah.
I want to get back to the spiritual and religious aspect of your experience, because is this a good way? When you teach people about children and teenagers about outdoors, young people about outdoors, do they also? Do you find that? Have you received any testimonies that they've also found God through that experience?
Not necessarily, not off the top of my head, but what I do enjoy, because I will get messages from people who are like, "Oh man, I appreciate you bringing up God." You know, a lot of people don't have the guts to do that. I get that almost every day, and you know, ultimately, that's one of my favorite parts. That's my favorite thing. The best compliment you can give me is that, you know. You would say, "Oh, Blake, you're a great outdoorsman," or "Congratulations for being so young and having a TV show," you know. But among all of those, when somebody says, "You talked about God," thank you. He appreciates that, you know. With no doubt, that's what inspires me the most to keep going, you know. Because I have a lot of anti-hunters, vegans, and vegans are just, you know, atheists on steroids sometimes. And you know, among all of that, you know, it can be very downing, you know. You post a picture of a possum you killed, and then people start threatening your life because you killed a possum, you know. It's hard. I'll be honest with you. I get that often. But when somebody sends me a text or email or something like that, it really inspires me to keep going. So, you know, I think that's the biggest role of my outdoor career is my faith. And if I didn't have my faith with me, I highly doubt I'd be at where I am now.
Yeah, we have an article today on the Drudge Report about a man being arrested for drowning a raccoon that killed a chicken. Let me just read this article and get your take on it. So, Florida man accused of drowning a raccoon. James Miller says animal killed his chickens, damaged his home. This is out of Florida. A Central Florida man was arrested on suspicion of caging and drowning a raccoon because the animal killed some of his chickens and damaged his home. James Miller of Tavares was arrested Friday on animal cruelty charges. According to the Lake County Sheriff's Office, a woman called authorities and said her neighbor took a caged raccoon onto his pontoon boat and dropped the cage into the water. The woman said she told her neighbor that drowning an animal was inhumane and he should instead call animal services, according to deputies. Miller replied, "The raccoon was in my house," and left the cage in the water for several minutes, killing the raccoon, deputies said. Authorities questioned Miller's wife, who said the raccoon had killed some of her chickens and later got into the house, according to the deputies. Miller was later arrested and taken into custody. Now, I don't know why they didn't arrest the raccoon for killing the chickens, but anyway.
Right on.
You know, I remember when I was a very young, small child, we lived in a house where there was a rat issue, and my mother would set a trap for rats, and I remember many times she would take that trap, and she didn't want to touch the rats, and so she would take the trap as itself, you know, metal thing, and she would take it out to the creek that ran in front of our house, and she would put the trap down in the creek and leave it there for a few minutes, and then bring it back out. And of course, the rats were dead by then. So I guess, wow, she could have been arrested for animal cruelty.
I know.
This is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous. What do you think?
The dumbest thing, it's one of the dumbest things that we have to go through today. And as hunters, I think it's one of the dumb things that we have to go through is stuff like that. I actually know someone who drowns his raccoons because in the city, he can't shoot them. His city doesn't allow him to shoot them. So he drowns them, you know. And now, is there more humane ways to kill a raccoon? Yes. Okay. I shoot my raccoons with a .22 air gun in the head. They die immediately. You know, I don't sit there and drown them. But I personally have nothing against it. Now, if you're going from a humane perspective, yes, they're going to sit there in the water for about 5 to 10 minutes suffering. But who? I mean, really, who cares? You know, that raccoon's a nuisance, and that raccoon killed his chickens, and I find it hysterical that somebody would call the cops on a neighbor or somebody else for drowning a raccoon that was a nuisance. You know, and I like to say this. Stuff like that is feel-goodism. It makes people feel better about themselves when they see someone drown a raccoon. I mean, who cares, you know? With everything else in the world that's going on, all this negativity and all this political correctness and all these crazy shootings that are happening, someone's main concern is that their neighbor drowned a raccoon? What kind of bull crap is that, you know? And so, I mean, I think it's one of the dumbest things ever, you know? Stuff like that. I don't understand, but it's do-goodism. It makes somebody feel better about themselves. When they, my neighbor killed a raccoon, I've never done that, you know? Why does it make you feel better about yourself? Why, you know? I mean, it's utter foolishness. I don't get it. And who cares, you know? Sure, again, it's not the most humane thing. But who cares? You know, that thing was a nuisance. It killed. You're right. I mean, you should put the raccoon in jail for killing the chickens, for his animal abuse, you know? And so, I mean, you eat meat from the grocery store. How's it any different from killing a raccoon? You know, go in the grocery store and buying chicken or beef or pork, you know? That animal died and suffered before dying, you know? I mean, that thing suffered until it died, you know? And so, I mean, that thing lived in captivity its entire life suffering. Are you going to charge people who raise meat with animal cruelty? No, you're not. No, people don't think about how meat from the grocery store is inhumanely killed. Nobody thinks about that, you know? And so I don't care. I mean, that's what God gave us animals, for our own benefit. And if our own benefit is to eat them, go ahead, eat them. I love eating animals, you know? I mean, I love going in the woods and I'll shoot a squirrel and eat the squirrel, you know? That might sound crazy to some. Like, I eat a squirrel? Oh, how dare you, you know? I love the taste of squirrel. I like it better than chicken. It tastes like chicken, but it's better than chicken. It tastes like a dark meat on chicken, the better, you know? And so I love it, you know? And so if you got to kill an animal because he's messing with your livestock or messing with your trash, I don't care how you do it, you know? I don't just kill animals for the heck of it. I mean, I would advise against that. But let's say you kill a raccoon for no reason at all, you know? I really don't care personally, you know? But I don't understand people like that. And
kill a raccoon, save a chicken, I guess it could be the bumper sticker there. But I agree with you that
lives matter.
I think people, when they don't believe in God, they tend to put animals and human beings on the same level. And they say, well, you know, animals have animal rights. Humans have human rights, animals have animal rights. And we see some of this going on where people are sort of mixing up these two. So it's important that we spread the gospel that human beings were created to be God's children and to have a dominion over the earth. And certainly, what this man did, I think, was a part of that. Exercise of dominion. Now, if he had given it to animal control, I don't know. Maybe they could have had a better way. But I think he certainly exercised his sovereignty. God has given us sovereignty, and he exercised his sovereignty.
I would have done the same thing. You know?
Okay.
If I had no other ways of killing that raccoon, I would have drowned him. I'm not kidding. I would have done the exact same thing. So. Kudos to him, actually. I mean, I appreciate him in a way because, I mean, hey, man, he took the necessary steps to protecting his livestock, and you know, exactly. Now he's suffering for it because of what people thoughts he says. And you're right about people who don't believe in God, atheists believe that we evolved from animals. Okay, right. But that's utter foolishness. But where did those animals evolve from? Oh, they came from plants and vegetation. And yet you eat plants? All right. How is me eating an animal and you eating a plant? Because I can't eat animals because they're my great granddaddy, but you're eating plants, which are your great ancestor too. I mean, what's the difference? And so I mean, what makes plants more insignificant than animals? And people are like, well, they don't have feeling.
All right. Well, let's take a break and we'll come back for our final segment after this.
Hi, I'm Joby Gorgas with Magnum Research. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our new L5 and 44 mag. This is our 5-inch model, lightweight model. It's got an aluminum grip frame, shaving down the weight so that we can get it under 50 ounces so that it's New York legal. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to properly hold the L5 for function. When shooting a Desert Eagle, you want to make sure that your dominant arm is locked out, pushing back into the back of the grip. Your secondary hand is holding around the front of the grip to keep the muzzle flip down. This gives you a good firm hold for proper cycling. We got to remember that the Desert Eagle is a gas-operated rotating bolt semi-automatic pistol, not unlike an AR system. I also want to talk to you about the stance for shooting the Desert Eagle. When shooting the Desert Eagle, you need a good firm base. So you want to step into your direction, get that arm locked, that support hand on, and lean forward into it so that you can handle that recoil. Hi, I'm Joby Gorgas with Magnum Research. I'm here to tell you a little bit about our new L5 and 44 mag. This is our 5-inch model, lightweight model. It's got an aluminum grip frame, shaving down the weight so that we can get it under 50 ounces so that it's New York legal. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to properly hold the L5 for function. When shooting a Desert Eagle, you want to make sure that your dominant arm is locked out, pushing back into the back of the grip. Your secondary hand is holding around the front of the grip to keep the muzzle flip down. This gives you a good firm hold for proper cycling. We got to remember that the Desert Eagle is a gas-operated rotating bolt semi-automatic pistol, not unlike an AR system. I also want to talk to you about the stance for shooting the Desert Eagle. When shooting the Desert Eagle, you need a good firm base. So you want to step into your direction, get that arm locked, that support hand on, and lean forward into it so that you can handle that recoil.
And we're back. King's Report for Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. I'm Tim Elder, sitting in for the second Kim Chun-Yuk, Hyung Jin Moon. And we're here with Blake Alma. We've been talking with him, and we'd like to ask him now to tell us about how we can connect with some of his activities, support his activities. And so he's going to tell us about his websites and books and so forth. Go ahead, Blake.
Yeah, I would say the easiest way to come support what I do as an outdoors person, you can go to my website, blakealma.com, which is spelled, my last name is spelled ALMA.com, so blakealma.com. There, everything should be available to you. Of course, the radio show, the TV show, my books, the blogs that I participate in, the blogs that I own, the blogs that I edit and stuff, all there. So you just go there and you can find everything. We have it all organized for you. So that'd be your best site. Just easy to remember. Just BlakeAlma.com. Everything should be there that you want. We have links to Survivalist Daily. I know we were just talking about bushcraft, so you read all kinds of stuff about bushcraft stuff, and then we have something called the Conservative Sportsman. It used to be called the Art of an Outdoorsman. We briefly talked about that. And there we post conservative outdoor content. We post our podcast on there as well. And so just some of the things we do. So it's just BlakeAlma.com, and you can find everything through that website there.
I see here on your BlakeAlma.com you have a quote here. This is your own quote. The only connection that my generation has with nature is television, and it's my job to change that. That's quite a job that you have for yourself to influence an entire generation, but it looks like you're making pretty good headway in doing that. Tell us about specifically some of these things. For example, the Outdoor Times. What is that? Ohio Valley Outdoor Times.
I was featured in an article by Ohio Valley Outdoor Times or Ohio Valley Outdoor Magazine. I was featured in an article in both their magazine and their newspaper, and so
I see.
They wrote an article about my work as a sports person.
Okay. I was more interested in the things that you're actually involved in rather than what you were featured in. Like you say that you're editor-in-chief of this publication, Survivalist Daily. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, November of last year, I got the opportunity to become an editor of this big website. They have 160,000 followers on Facebook. They've actually made me their social media manager as well. And so I have the pleasure of working with all those fans and followers of Survivalist Daily. And we write outdoor content. And then I'm the guy who directs all that, makes sure all the content has to do with survival, make sure it's fully edited, make sure there's no punctuation or typos in the articles. I'm the guy who posts the articles, and we just write articles about survival, whether it's wilderness survival or bushcraft. It could be urban survival. It could be about how to survive an animal attack, which is something that we're kind of playing with right now on Survivalist Daily. And so, so I'm just, I take care of all the content on Facebook, social media, and on the website. So I thoroughly enjoy doing that. So I've been doing it for over a year now, just barely over a year, but it's been my passion to be able to teach people just sharing simple survival tips,
Oh, I just saw an article that just passed by me here. Gander Mountain begins liquidating all 126 stores locations nationwide. Well, that's big news here because we have a Gander Mountain store not too far from here. So you have that, and I'm just looking at the articles right now in Survivalist Daily, the guide to primitive survival traps.
That Gander Mountain is actually bought out, I'm sure. It's bought out by Camping World. So they sold that for $300 million to Camping World. So all the Gander Mountains that are still left are owned by Camping World. So that's interesting.
So are they? But they're closing down most or all of the Gander Mountain stores. Was that the article? I haven't read it.
They only closed a few of them. People thought they were going to close all of them. They only closed like 20 of them. And from my understanding, Camping World gained possession of all of them, but they're currently only managing 17 of them. The last time I checked, it's been a while because I wrote an article about it, as you saw. But they were managing 17 of them the last time I checked, but there's still like 100 stores left. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I believe Camping World will slowly gain control of those. And so I think they're trying to go. Gander Mountain is kind of handing over a smooth transition of ownership of Gander Mountain. But I'm not fully aware of the event but it's a little old now. But I wrote an article about it, and so Gander Mountain's bought out. And so for $300 million. I think Cabela's was bought out by Bass Pro recently too. So there's been some changes in the outdoor realtor business, I'll tell you what.
And I see you have an article here. Hunter hides underwater and kills a ram with a blowgun. And a man fights an 11-point buck.
Yeah.
Man Punches Kangaroo Choking Hunting Dog. That was by Blake Alma. Starting a Fire with Shavings from a Pencil Sharpener by Blake Alma. And Building a Log Cabin Fire by Blake Alma. And Learn how to Construct a Primitive Survival Fish Trap by Blake Alma. How to Make a Frog Trap by Blake Alma. Those are some of the articles there on Survivalist Daily. Well, thank you very much, Blake, for joining us this morning. Appreciate your inspiration. I hope that your message through our broadcast will be the one experience that someone will have that will change their life, as your life was changed by that one fishing experience. And that we will see many, many more Blake Almas springing up around Northeast Pennsylvania, Ohio, and throughout the country and the world. Survivalist activities, outdoor activities really bring you in touch with God. And that's where you can, not in the concrete jungles of the cities, but in places like we are here in Northeast Pennsylvania, and where Blake is in the Ohio area, where we can really experience a God in His world. When I drive around here in Northeast Pennsylvania, I think to myself, if I were in a city, I'd be driving through buildings. I'd be seeing buildings on both sides of the road. But here in Pennsylvania, I see trees. I see trees and trees and trees and trees and trees. And it's wonderful to see how the trees and the view changes from season to season, and how I can really experience God every morning and every evening as I go back and forth along the highway. Well, thank you very much, Blake, for being with us this morning. We've come to the end of our broadcast, and we praise God for your activity, and pray that His glory can be manifest through you to all the members of your generation, not just to members of your generation. I'm also inspired. I'm not exactly in your generation, but I'm also inspired, and so to other generations as well.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Man.
Thank you for everyone who joined us this morning. I will see you again at 5 a.m. tomorrow for tomorrow's edition of King's Report. In the meantime, God bless, Godspeed, and may His kingdom come.
Invade us now. We are your church. We need your power in us. We seek your kingdom first. We hunger and we thirst. Refuse to waste our lives, for you're our joy and prize. To see the captive hearts released, the hurt, the sick, the poor at peace. We lay down our lives for heaven's cause. We are your church. We pray, revive this earth. Build your kingdom here, let the darkness fear. Show your mighty hand, heal our streets and land. Set your church on fire, win this nation back. Change the atmosphere, build your kingdom here. We pray. Unleash your kingdom's power, reaching the near and far. No force of hell can stop your beauty changing hearts. You made us for much more than this. Awake the kingdom seed in us. Fill us with the strength and love of Christ. We are your church. We are the